Hello. A few years ago, I was learning more about the word of wisdom, and I came to understand that it's more than a list of do's and don'ts. But I was still sitting there wondering and asking myself, can I really live the word of wisdom with my young family in our society today? We live in a society that is full of convenience, that is full of busyness, and can I really live the word of wisdom in these things I'm learning with my young family? And I am excited to talk to you today about this process and this journey that I've been through, where I have learned that it is possible to live the word of wisdom more fully with your young kids, and that it's enjoyable. It can be enjoyable, and I hope to inspire other families to be able to do the same. First, let me give you a little bit of background introduction. My name's Katrina Seamons, and I'm married to my best friend Ryan, and we are high school sweethearts. We have 5 kids, ages 12 down to 3, and we currently live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I am one of those people that has always avoided dieting and exercise. I always thought that there wasn't room in my life for that my physical body was just kind of as it was, and I didn't have very many complaints about it. I didn't gain that much weight after each baby, but I was a little overweight, but it wasn't impeding on my lifestyle. And so when friends would ask me to join weight loss challenges or healthy eating challenges, I'd blow them off and just be like, no, I don't have time for that. But that stuff doesn't matter as much as my time as a mom, or my time as a wife, or my time to read my scriptures, or my time to serve in callings, or my time to travel the world and make memories with my family. So those physical things were just not important to me. And then a couple years ago, it was Labor Day weekend, and somehow I came across Jane Birch's book, Discovering the Word of Wisdom. And I remember looking at it and thinking, maybe that would be interesting. And I opened it up and I found myself intrigued. Surely I've known the Word of Wisdom my whole life, and I would know everything that's in it. But she was approaching things in a different way than I had seen them before. For instance, in the Word of Wisdom, it says that all wholesome herbs God hath ordained for the constitution, nature, and use of man. Every herb in the season thereof, and every fruit in the season thereof, all these to be used with prudence and thanksgiving. And flesh of the beasts and the fowls of the air, I, the Lord, have ordained for the use of man with thanksgiving. Nevertheless, they are to be used sparingly. And all grain is ordained for the use of man and beasts, and to be the staff of life. And I've always thought it seemed unhealthy to, in some of these fad diets, to be gluttonous on meat and proteins, but I didn't know another way. And I always have been a lover of bread, and I just thought, there's no way that I should take that out of my diet. And finally, I read the Word of Wisdom even more fully to be able to understand what the Lord was wanting to teach me. And I thought, could there really be another way that the Lord wants me to see the Word of Wisdom? So sure enough, in that weekend, I devoured her whole book, and I came out thinking, okay, I've got to make some changes, and I'm going to adjust my focus, and I'm going to eat less processed, so more whole foods and less meat, and just see what happens. And the Lord has a wonderful way of doing things where He increases or strengthens our effort when we put in some effort. He magnifies our effort, I would say. And He did that for me. When I started trying to eat more whole foods and less meat, He was right there, and He helped me run into people who already had this lifestyle. He helped me find resources. They almost just dropped in my lap. And I just thought, okay, this is a good path that I'm on, even though it seems like a mountain in front of me. And so I am grateful I get to share some of the things that I learned in this journey with you today. I wanted to just share 3 ways that your family could incorporate the word of wisdom into your lifestyle. And those 3 ways are: 1, do it together as a family; 2, experiment in faith; and 3, remember and teach the why behind why this is important. Okay, so the first one is do it together. So let's say you've learned and you've read more about the word of wisdom and you're like, I want to take that first step and I want to adjust my lifestyle, but how do I do that? How on earth are you going to get your family on board with ideas like eating more plant-based foods and less animal foods, and more whole foods and less processed foods? And one thing I've learned is just to do it together. For example, well, I guess I should clarify what I mean by do it together. Do it together, parents and kids. Sometimes we can fall into the trap of, as parents, expecting something of our kids, and then we don't jump in and do it with them. We just expect that they should reach that goal because either we think we already have that mastered, or we don't think that it's really something we need to do. But an example of how we have found success in doing something together in our family is this last summer, after we'd had so many days stuck in our house with quarantining. I said, I want all of us to get out of the house every single morning and we need to run or bike a mile together. And I thought I should do it too because I need the exercise and I also need the time outside. Like, we need the sunlight, we need the vitamin D, And so we first talked to the kids about it, and then we went outside and we mapped out where a mile would be, and I told them they could run or bike or scooter or whatever they wanted, but we were just going to go around that same loop to make a mile. And we did it. And the first few days, it was awesome. The kids were on board and we were all enthusiastic and we all could do it. And even my 3-year-old rode his balance bike with us, and slower pace than the big kids on bikes, but we all did the same route. And then the honeymoon period ended and things started, you start having kids complain, I don't want to do that, or it's too far, or I'm too tired today. And I just said, we've just got to keep going. We can do this. And I kept doing it even on the days that I didn't want to do it, the days that I was too tired or a kid was up at night. And by the end of the summer, we had gone 50 miles in the whole summer. So obviously we missed some days. We weren't perfect at it, but the motivation stayed and the accomplishment was there because we all did it together. So now back to food. How did I get my kids ages 10, 8, 6, 5, and 2, back when we first started this journey, to eat less processed foods and more whole grain foods? Couple things I'll share. First is I stopped buying my favorite treats at the grocery store. I am a huge ice cream fan. I'm a huge cookie fan. And I stopped buying the things I wanted because then it would be motivating for me and them to only eat what was available. And instead of, whenever you take something away, you have to put something back in its place. So instead of my normal snack of chips or pretzels or I don't know what it would, something processed, I started buying apples and I started buying carrots and hummus. And I would sit and eat them at snack time. And I would invite the kids to come have a snack with me. And if they were hungry, I'd say, you can have an apple out of the fridge, or you can have a banana, or you can have some carrots and hummus, and offering things that were healthy and just not even having the processed food around. And they just slowly adjusted. Sure, there was some complaining at the beginning or cravings. Our body really does crave sugars, and our body really does crave the things that we are familiar with. But we can teach our bodies how to crave the things that are actually nutritious for us. Number 2 is I eat with my kids. Sometimes we are in such a hurry that we say, okay, here's your snack, and then we move on. And if I found that as I was trying to introduce new foods to them, that if I sat down and I ate with them and I had a conversation with them, so we had a bowl of almonds out and I was just eating them, and then they'd come and join and they'd eat some out, and it was just a community bowl of almonds, and we could have conversations. Hey, what book are you reading right now? Or what did you enjoy about playing with this friend yesterday? And those conversations and the time you spend together often can enhance the experience, and then their brains start to like the food that's associated with those good feelings. Another thing is we hide veggies, especially for those picky kids. Hide the veggies in the recipes. Hide them in smoothies, hide them in sauces, hide them in, I made a cheese sauce the other day that's wholly based on potatoes and celery and onions, and yet it looked like cheese and it tasted like cheese enough that they wanted it on their potatoes and on their broccoli, and it was not cheese at all, but they liked it because the veggies were hidden in it. Another thing that we do is we cook with our kids. I invite the kids to come and participate in my meal planning and participate in the grocery shopping and participate in the making a grocery list and participate in putting the groceries away when they come. Right now we do a lot of delivery. And then also inviting them to cook with me. And a lot of kids, when they have the responsibility to cook with you, then they take some ownership, and then it's more motivating. Hey, I made this and it's an accomplishment, and that, yes, I want to eat it and reap those good rewards. Achieving goals together can be powerful and motivating for you and for your kids. If you teach by example, it goes a lot further than if we just say, here, eat this because it's good for you, and no, you can't have this because it's not good for you. Kids, sometimes, just like us, we need our time to be able to process and be able to make these changes slowly and gradually rather than just like black and white. And you will find power in these changes that you make for your family if you do it with them. Okay, number 2, experiment in faith. Don't be afraid to keep trying new things. I promise you that as you make these changes with your family, you will fail. I'm sorry to say it, but it is just the nature of being human, that we will fail. And even when we have the best intentions, we fail. You won't be perfect at it, but this is the Lord's way. He expects us to fail so that we can learn. And I think it's beautifully written in Alma, chapter 32, when he talks about experimenting on the word. So he says, if you will awake and arouse your faculties, even to an experiment upon my words, and exercise a particle of faith, yea, even if ye can no more than desire to believe, let this desire work in you, even until you believe, in a manner that ye can give place for a portion of my words. Now, I love these words. You have awakened and aroused your learning by learning more about the word of wisdom. And maybe you've even awakened because of a medical condition, or maybe just because of wanting to find a new way, or maybe just the Spirit has nudged you and said, look, there's a better way. For whatever reason, you're here and you want to learn more about the word of wisdom. And now you need to experiment. Alma says, you'll experiment on the word. You will experiment with new shopping lists, new recipes, new snacks, new choices, new thoughts, new insights. And he will help you to work this desire that you have so that you can believe a portion of his word. And then you plant the seeds and you let them grow. Alma says, now if you give place that a seed may be planted in your heart, behold, if it be a true seed or a good seed, if you do not cast it out by your unbelief, that you will resist the Spirit of the Lord, behold, it will begin to swell within your breasts, and then you may say to yourselves, It must needs be that this is a good seed, for it beginneth to enlarge my soul, yea, it beginneth to enlighten my understanding, and it beginneth to be delicious to me. Now I want to be clear here that Alma's talking about experimenting with the Word and with God's Word, like finding His truths. If you don't feel great about a certain food for your family, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a good food. It just means maybe that's not a good food for your family right now. And that's okay. For example, at first, there was a time in our journey with this that I tried to go without butter, and we tried to transfer from dairy butter to plant-based butters. And we were miserable. We missed the soft butters to spread on our toast. We didn't like how the plant butters tasted. And I took it to the Lord, and I felt okay about introducing butter back into our diet, that it wasn't going to hurt us right now, but that it was more important for our sanity to just have the dairy butter and not worry about being so strict about plant butters in that portion of our diet. And so as you are experimenting, realize that your family will be different than other people's families. And that's okay. Your family is your own, and you should be writing your own story. You should be able to, you can find revelation and find the things that will work for your family right now. And in a year, that might change. And that's the beauty of this, is that you get to experiment and plant these seeds and see what grows. I think it's neat how Alma teaches it, that you'll plant these seeds of whole grains and nutrients and fruits and veggies in your heart and in your family. And if you don't give way to your unbelief or your doubts or your insecurities or your the pressures of society and convenience, then you can work with the Spirit and you will know what is a good seed for your family right now. And I love his phrases about, let's see, where does he say? It enlarges your soul, it enlightens your understanding, and it becomes delicious to you. And you'll see that. You'll see that your soul will be larger, and your understanding will be quicker, and even the tastes for you and for your kids, they will become delicious to you. I've seen these promises in our life in the last few years. First, I used to have stomach pains often. All growing up, I would complain to my mom all the time about my stomach hurting. And we did colonoscopies and we did all sorts of doctor's appointments, and nothing ever really, we didn't have a conclusion. And they kind of wanted to give me a diagnosis of IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, but that's just a blanket diagnosis when they don't really know what's wrong. And after I got pregnant, I stopped having as much stomach pain because I think things loosened up a little bit, but it was still there. And as I've taken these steps to eat more whole foods and less processed foods and more plants and less meat, I have experienced those stomach pains going away. And it's been amazing. And I've come to appreciate and love my body more as I've learned how to fuel it better. Another thing that we've seen in our home as we've experimented with this lifestyle is that I have received revelation from the Lord to help me know what to feed my kids, or ideas to help with my kids. And even now my meat-loving kids love my homemade black bean burgers. Who would have thought? A year ago, I wouldn't have thought that would have ever happened. But now they not only like it when I make it, but they ask for it almost weekly. And it's okay if they don't like something at one time. It's okay to let them experiment, just like we are experimenting. And it's okay for them to take time to then come to like something. And there are dishes that I've tried that we've all been like, nah, we'll never try that again. But that's the whole journey, is that you get to experiment and you get to learn. Another thing that experienced as a blessing in this experimenting is that I have been enlightened physically, and my soul has been enlarged spiritually because I haven't quit when it got hard. We haven't been perfect, and there are nights that we're out on a date and I'm like, I want an ice cream cone. And so I ate one, and then the next day I start again, and I take it to the Lord, and I keep my goals in sight and the things that I've learned as my focus. And I think that as we're just choosing to make better choices every day, that we can have the Spirit of the Lord with us every day. And He really does enlarge our souls and enlighten our understanding more and more as we put forth that effort. So don't worry too much about every little thing. Remember that it's an experiment. Remember to try new things, and then to record and reflect on how those things are going. And through experimenting, you can receive great blessings. Okay, the last thing, number 3, remember and teach the why for this lifestyle change. And I have a little story, or a little metaphor, I guess, to help you teach your kids this amazing, or about this amazing gift that God's given us, our bodies. So I want you to think about the best gift you've ever received. Was it a Christmas gift? Was it a birthday gift? What was your reaction when you got that gift? Did you jump up and down and scream and cry and just were so overjoyed? Or are you somebody who just smiles really big and is screaming on the inside out of excitement and joy? And then what did you do with that gift after you received it? Did you leave it on the floor for somebody to step on? Or did you take good care of it and put it up high and put it in a spot where you'd always remember where it was? Did you want to just spend time with that gift and learn more about it and learn how to use it? One of my favorite gifts I ever received was a book of notes that Ryan made for me for my birthday. I was turning 30, and in preparation for my birthday, he had asked all my family and friends to write little notes to me about what they love about me and about the things that they remember about our relationship. And he gathered all those and he put them in a book for me and gave it to me on my 30th birthday. And I remember opening it and just thinking, this is the most thoughtful gift I've ever received. And I don't know how he's going to outdo himself ever again. But I wanted to just sit and pour over it. And I was in the middle of a birthday party. I couldn't do it right then, but I tucked it in the gift bag and kept it in the gift bag. I didn't want it getting squished in my purse. And since then, it's remained on my bedside table in a little shelf so that it's always protected and I always know where it is. And I could sit and just read that over and over and over again because it meant so much to me. Now, what does this have to do with the word of wisdom? Well, President Nelson taught the youth a while back. He said, "Your body is a magnificent gift. The marvel of our bodies is often overlooked or underappreciated. The many amazing attributes of your body attest to your own divine nature. Each organ of your body is a wondrous gift from God. Each eye has an auto-focusing lens. Nerves and muscles control 2 eyes to make single 3-dimensional images. The eyes are connected to the brain, which records the sights seen. Your heart is an incredible pump. It has 4 delicate valves that control the direction of blood flow. These valves open and close more than 100,000 times a day, 36 million times a year. Yet, unless altered by disease, they can withstand such stress almost indefinitely." And then he goes on to talk about his body's defense system, its healing abilities, its capacity for reproduction, and its regulatory controls. Our bodies are truly amazing, and it was given to us by an all-knowing Father who loves us and expects us to take care of them. So now I have 2 questions for you. 1, do you cherish your body? Do you love it so much that you like to spend time with it, and you like to learn about it and you take good care of it? Are you grateful for it every night when you go to sleep and then arise with gratitude for another day with it? When you look in the mirror, do you see that you are a child of God and you have a physical body and a spirit inside that creates your whole soul? I've always felt like I have a pretty good, I've been pretty confident, or a pretty good body image, pretty confident with my body. I'm not quick to form opinions, so I don't often dislike certain parts of my body, and I've been okay with it most of my life. But I wouldn't say that I've ever cherished my body. I grew up disliking the idea of dieting. I hated exercising and running, so I just went with the flow with things, and I had a body and it does its thing, and that's good enough. But then I came across that Discovering the Word of Wisdom book, and it changed my perspective. Changed my perspective of how connected our bodies and our spirits are, and that when we nourish our bodies, our spirits are more able to grow. And when we nourish our spirits, our bodies are more able to grow. And so it's important to nourish both your spirit and your body. And that's how Heavenly Father has designed it to be, and He has designed it for us to, our bodies to function in certain ways. And so part of the Word of Wisdom is learning how our bodies can function very best so that we can do the work that He needs us to do with our spirits. So another question for you is, with that knowledge, do your children understand that? Do your children understand that their body is a gift from God? Sometimes as parents, we may think that they understand it, but in my experience, that we need to be able to tell them frequently every day how much God loves them and how grateful they should be for this beautiful gift of a body. They need to understand that their spirits and their bodies are connected. And as you embark on this journey with the Word of Wisdom, they need you to teach them how important their body is and how important their spirit is, because those are the things that matter in trying to live in a healthier way. So what did I do to move forward when I discovered that it mattered what I did with my body? I wanted to learn how my spirit and my body were connected and how they were supposed to work together. And so President Nelson, in his talk to the youth again, he laid it out really well. And he said, our spirits should be in charge of our bodies. Remarkable as your body is, its prime purpose is of even greater importance to serve as tenement for your eternal spirit. Your spirit acquired your body and became a living soul to experience mortality and the associated trials and testing. Part of that testing is to determine if the appetites of your body can become mastered by the spirit that dwells within it. Our Creator put appetites in our bodies to perpetuate the human race and fulfill His great plan of happiness. Thus, we have appetites for food, appetites for water, and appetites for love. These appetites were put into us on purpose. Satan, though, knows the power of our appetites, so he tempts us to eat things that we should not eat and to drink things we should not drink. When we truly know our divine nature, we will want to control such appetites, and we will focus our eyes on sights and our ears on sounds and our minds on thoughts that are a credit to our physical creation as a temple of God. In daily prayer, we will gratefully acknowledge Him as our Creator and thank Him for the magnificence of our own physical temple. We will care for it and cherish it as our own personal gift from God. I love that. Do you know these truths? Do you understand that the Word of Wisdom is a way to help our spirits and our bodies work together as they should in this mortal life? As you come to learn this, to study this, to pray and counsel with the Lord about this, He will show you the way for you and your family. And then you can testify and teach your children what you have learned. And they can see their connection between their spirits and their bodies. As you embark on this journey, you'll see blessings and miracles happen. Remember to point out those blessings and those miracles to your kids. they need to be able to recognize them as blessings, and they need to be able to recognize the miracles and the revelation that happens, because that's how they learn. That's how we learn. As you teach these things and you live these things and you plant them in your heart, the Spirit will testify to you and your children the truthfulness of the principles of the word of wisdom. One of my very, very favorite talks, as a side note, about your spirit being in charge of your body is from Elder Ballard in the October 2019 conference. He wasn't specifically talking about the word of wisdom, but he discussed the urgency of making sure that our spirits are in control of our bodies now. I think this is a vital principle our families need to learn and nurture in many areas in our lives. President Nelson has said that Satan knows the power of our appetites. We need to learn to let our spirits be in control in every aspect of our lives. In the scripture that says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." The word of wisdom is a wonderful tool that the Lord has given us to help us learn to put our spirits in charge of our physical bodies. In conclusion, the word of wisdom is simple yet complex. It is full of promises for our physical and our spiritual well-being. I'm still learning every single day more about the Lord's plan for me and for my family. As we desire to feed our families more in accordance with the word of wisdom, He will help us. And let's remember the miraculous blessings the Lord has promised us in GNC 89. He has said we will have health in our navel, we will have marrow in our bones, we'll have wisdom and treasures of knowledge. We will have the ability to run and not faint, or run and not be weary, and walk and not faint. And the destroying angel shall pass by us and not slay us. I hope you can implement some of the principles we discussed today in your families. Remember, these 3 things are: do it together, experiment in faith, and remember and teach the why of why this is important. And as you do, you will see changes happen in your lives. You will see changes happen in your home. You will see changes happen in you. And the Lord is aware of your desire. He is aware of your efforts, and He loves your effort. And He will work with you to keep the word of wisdom and enjoy it with your family.